You're watching Investigation Discovery on Demand.
Paige Bergfeld disappeared on Thursday, June 28th, 2007. When a person disappears without a trace, often the most critical information you have to work with is hidden in their actions and words from the days before they vanished. Paige Bergfeld's last known 24 hours may hold the clues to what happened to her.
I said, if she's missing, you're involved in a crime. She would never have left her kids.
A devoted mother of three, beloved by friends and family alike, disappears without a word one hot summer day.
And I said, well, where's Rob? That was my first concern after everything she had been saying to me.
Friends are convinced that Paige's recent ex-husband must be involved. But detectives discover a secret part of Paige's life that holds more clues.
What we had learned was that she had been putting herself out there as an adult escort.
NaughtyNightLife.com advertised everything from threesomes to partner swapping, erotic massage.
Whatever line of work Paige is in, the job of the police is the same.
Who is it out there that thinks that they can take away from my grandchildren their mother? Who is this person? What kind of a human being is this?
Friday, June 22nd. Another gorgeous sunny day in western Colorado. Devoted moms Barbara Campbell and Paige Bergfeld are enjoying a pool party with their kids.
We'd been playing for a while, and then Paige showed up with her kids. Paige and I hung out for quite a while, and we got to talk more privately.
Barbara has often heard Paige's conflicting feelings about her recent ex-husband.
She started talking to me about Rob and being very worried.
On June 22nd, Barbara notices something out of the ordinary in Paige's manner.
At the pool party, she was downright scared. It was, I am really afraid that something's going to happen now.
Barbara is extremely concerned.
You hate for your friend to say that. You just want to make him safe, and you can't do that. My parting words to her were, don't worry about Rob. To see you, he'd have to come over Red Mountain Pass, and maybe the mountain will just take care of him. So I wasn't real polite, but it's one of those things you say to comfort a friend. I said that, and she kind of laughed, but she was obviously really troubled that maybe I need that to happen. And then she drove off. I certainly didn't know that within a week she would be gone.
4 days later, a local group of mothers has a get-together. On Tuesday, June 26th, about 20 members of the Grand Junction chapter of Moms Club meet for a night on the town.
MOMS stands for Moms Offering Moms Support. And it's an organization for stay-at-home moms, a lot of whom have home businesses and do lots of other things the way Paige did.
Moms Club was always a natural fit for Paige, with her devotion to family and to her children above all else.
Paige loved her children so much. She enjoyed being successful, but I know in her heart of hearts she probably wished that she just didn't have to work at all and could be with them all the time. We were all in awe of her. She probably had a huge influence on a lot of other moms and how they parented because she handled things differently. There wasn't a whole lot of yelling. She wanted to make everything calm and peaceful and stable.
At Tuesday night's dinner party, Paige can't quite maintain her normally sunny demeanor. Her friends notice something is wrong.
We met at the ale house here in town. Paige showed up a little bit late, and she looked gorgeous as always.
She had her normal glow about her. She was here, and you were going to notice her. Not because she insisted that you did, but just because that was her presence.
A couple of people said she looked beautiful, but she seemed sad.
There was something in her eyes that was bothering her, because that previous Friday where she was at my house and had unloaded all of this fear, and then to see that in her eyes, I was getting really worried for her.
But Barbara does not have the time that night for a heart-to-heart. She still wonders, to this day, what was on Paige's mind. Paige Bergfeld works hard so she can spend time with her children. Not only does she care for 3 small kids by herself, but she is also the sole financial provider for her family. These responsibilities generate some creative thinking on her part.
Paige found herself in a situation where she was the sole breadwinner to take care of her 3 kids and a large mortgage. I think she displayed some real ingenuity. She set up a series of dance schools. She got into Pampered Chef, and she also sold these slings for nursing mothers. So she'd do different things to make money.
Reporter Nancy Lofholm has covered Grand Junction for the Denver Post for 16 years.
Pampered Chef is a wholesome type of business that women who were home with their kids, it was something they could do because they could have the parties at home and not have to go out and work.
Pampered Chef pays representatives a commission to promote their products through dinner parties.
Paige Bergfeld really made money at it. It sounds like she was good at it.
Two days later, Paige calls her friend Andrea, sounding much more upbeat than the other night.
I was in a hurry, and I rushed the conversation, and of course, hindsight, I wish I hadn't. But she sounded very happy. She sounded like she was really looking forward to the day.
Paige, in fact, has exciting plans. A positive force from her past has come back into her life. Her first love.
I think Paige is fairly typical. You know, Paige, as a high school kid, was kind of skinny, gawky, braces, so forth. I think her first real swept off her feet was Ron Bigler, who was her first husband. That was the big one. She actually got a 4-year scholarship in nursing, University of Florida in Gainesville. And then Ron Bigler moved down there too. And I would assume that distracted the academic pursuit. So they ended up moving back to Denver and got married fairly promptly after that.
Despite their love for each other, Ron is not yet ready to have children. Their differing feelings about parenthood eventually drive them apart.
Paige knew that family was going to be huge for her. She already had that mothering instinct that her kids were going to be the most important thing in her life. And so that's what kind of led that marriage astray. It was a very amicable divorce, and they wanted different things out of life, so they moved on.
The high school sweethearts always remain friendly. And 9 years later, after Paige is divorced from her second husband, Ron Bigler and Paige get back in touch.
Paige started talking about Ron about 3 months before she disappeared. It was funny because I knew something was up with her. It just seemed like there was a little switch that turned on and she was just a little more sparkly, a little more happy. She talked to me about how she'd been seeing him and that she still really loved him and that this might be something that would work out.
It was a Thursday. She made arrangements to meet Ron Bigler halfway between Denver and Grand Junction. She drove 2 hours east, he drove 2 hours west.
For Paige, June 28th is starting out to be a very good day.
There's a picnic area, the river runs by, and they spent kind of a late afternoon doing that. She left and came back to Grand Junction. He went back east. When he arrived in Denver, about 2 hours, he called her. She wasn't quite to Grand Junction.
Paige and Ron agreed to talk again later that night when Paige gets home. But Ron never hears from her.
Friday morning, he called her, and her phone immediately rolled over into her voicemail.
This is odd. Because of Paige's children, she never turns her phone off and always keeps the battery charged. All day Friday, Ron continues to call Paige's cell phone.
He called her several times during the day, and it rolled over each time. Never touched base with her. Saturday morning, he called again, and it still did that. This time, he called the house.
and what Ron learns scares him.
My 8-year-old granddaughter answered and said that Paige had not come home Thursday night. Ron, to his great credit, called the Mesa County Sheriff's Office and reported it.
The first time I heard the name Paige Burfield was on June 30th, the day that she was reported missing.
This is one of these moments that's freeze-framed in my mind. There's certain events that you just can see it. Everything stops and you can see each detail. I'd gotten a cup of coffee at McDonald's and my cell phone rang, and the caller identified himself as a deputy sheriff with the Mesa County Sheriff's Office. And he said, "Do I know that my daughter Paige has been missing?" And I can just tell you that is a moment that, you just never want to have. I said, "No." I remember I paused and I said, "If she's missing, you're involved in a crime. She would never have left her kids." He asked me, "Do you know that she was involved in an adult business?" And I said, "No." And frankly, that's the first I had ever heard of such a thing.
It's the first indication that there may be danger beneath the surface of this model mother's life.
My staff told me that there was a mother who was missing and that the circumstances of her disappearance were unusual. This was a mother who, by all accounts, appears to love her children very much and would not deliberately be gone from them.
I think we were en route within 20 minutes. Boy, when you get a call like that, you realize how nobody gets trained for that moment.
When he reports her missing, Paige's first husband informs the police that she is working in adult entertainment.
What we had learned was that she had been advertising and putting herself out there as an adult escort.
As a family, we didn't know anything about this adult business situation. I'm told by Ron that he knew that she was involved in an adult business, and he was aware she was going to meet clients Thursday night, and I assume we're talking about adult business clients.
Paige maintains a profile on an adult escort website.
NaughtyNightlife.com is a website where you can arrange what appeared to me to be sexual encounters. They advertised everything from threesomes to partner swapping, erotic massage. Paige tried to make her profile look a little more high class than some of the things on Naughty Nightlife. Some of them are pretty raunchy. Paige's picture was just a torso shot, and she was dressed. She advertised herself as filet mignon as opposed to chopped meat.
Investigators are aware that the nature of this business may have put Paige's life in jeopardy.
That brings another level of complexity. But nevertheless, it was learned early on, and it begins to broaden the scope of what we're looking at.
As with Paige's other jobs, she is well organized in her escort business.
Paige advertised that she would be available for in-call or out-call, which I believe means that she would go to their homes, hotel rooms, or she would bring them to her office.
Paige has been renting this office since March 2006, but no one in the building has any idea of what actually goes on in this room.
The landlord thought that she ran an acupuncture office. That's what she had told him, and never had any reason to suspect anything different. One of the odd things that some of the other people in the building had noticed was that in her office she had a pincushion with needles stuck in it. And that's not the way acupuncturists operate. I mean, a true acupuncturist has needles that are sterilized and they're in paper. That just was kind of almost a joke. Other people in Paige's office building saw men coming and going, sometime as many as 4, men in one evening. And they wondered about that. Paige would be dressed in kind of skimpy clothes and high heels. She didn't look like she was in the healthcare providing field, but none of them really suspected what was actually going on.
Paige lists her services as escort, erotic massage, private dancer, and available for groups and parties. But just how far Paige may have gone is unclear.
From reading the critiques on Naughty Nightlife for Paige, I got the sense that there was more happening than massage. They did mention that the extras cost them more, but they were well worth it. I think maybe Paige drew a line, no sexual intercourse. I mean, it wasn't prostitution per se.
Whatever line of work Paige is in, the job of the police is the same.
It's not our place to make a judgment about the activity. It's our place to investigate the facts and find out what happened.
And ultimately, her friends believe that Paige is doing this work because it provides quick and easy money, all in an effort to support her children.
Paige needed to make ends meet. She told me that a friend of hers had taught her how to give massages, and so we felt like, well, of course Paige is just giving massages, perhaps not fully clothed or something, but who's to say you can't do that? And we knew the escort side, perhaps dancing at parties. If it happens to be dancing with very little clothes on, Paige didn't have a problem with that. She was very comfortable with herself, with her body, and that's very different than actually having sex with someone.
When first husband Ron Beigler calls the police on June 30th, Paige has been missing for 36 hours. Their first step is to account for where Paige has been during all of that lost time. Her business practices turn out to be a boon for investigators.
We discovered that there were 2 cell phones, one for her and one for her business, and we were able to get information from both telephones.
While Paige's family is in the dark about her adult business, for at least some close friends, Paige's life is an open book.
She never hid anything. She was very open, and I don't think she had anything to hide. For her, it was strictly a business deal.
This isn't the first time that Paige got involved in adult entertainment.
She was stripping in a Denver club, the Mile High Saloon, and her first husband knew about that. I heard from friends and family members that he was not thrilled about her stripping.
In addition to questions about parenthood, Paige's stripping may have caused tension in the marriage. The couple divorce in 1997, while Paige is still dancing at the Mile High Saloon. And it is there that she meets her second husband. But Paige's next marriage will come with its own complications.
Rob Dixon met Paige while she was dancing at the Mile High Saloon in Denver. They hit it off and were married.
Paige's friends explain that she is someone who goes out and gets what she wants. In 1997, she wants Rob Dixon and all the financial security he offers.
When Paige met Rob, he came from a very wealthy family. So, in part, she was attracted to that because she could be the stay-at-home mom.
Rob Dixon's family had made a fortune during the 90s.
Rob Dixon's father was one of the pioneers of the cell phone industry and made some money.
In 1996, Rob sets up a foundation that gives millions of dollars to fire departments in Colorado.
Rob Dixon is a trained paramedic. That's what he likes to do. He likes to help people in their time of need. Rob and his father began a foundation, the whole purpose of which was to supply needed equipment to fire departments, paramedics on the western slope of Colorado.
Rob entrusts his money to an investor he meets in a strip club. And for a while, returns are good. The couple moves to Grand Junction in 1998 and starts having children the same year. Rob chooses to make no secret of his money.
This is a town where if you want to fit in, you might get a pickup truck or an SUV. Rob at one time had expensive Porsches. He had Lexus, Jaguars, Range Rovers, a lemon yellow Ferrari.
I got the sense that liked attention and his nice home and his 9 cars. People were very, very impressed.
By this time in 2001, Paige and Rob have 3 children. It seems they have it all. Then, after September 11th, Rob Dixon's finances take a serious plunge, and all this financial turmoil takes its toll on the family.
Over time, I started noticing that I really never saw him. At Paige's house, you would expect Rob to be out mingling. These are basically Paige's closest friends. And he would go in the bedroom and close the door, just avoidant. It set up a really awkward tension that was really upsetting to her, that he'd make no point of being a part of anything that she was doing.
Frank Bergfeld believes the anxiety surrounding the loss of Rob's fortune changes him for the worse.
I think it was devastating. I think people that beg for "look at me, aren't I smart?" to be in the paper day in and day out, having your bad decisions detailed to the community at large, to someone who had been up there with an ego, it's a long plunge down.
As the years pass, Paige's family and friends grow more concerned about her relationship with Rob.
Paige made a 911 call in 2004.
My husband and I were in a fight, and he was supposed to watch my children while I went to work. He didn't seem to be okay, so I said that I was just going to take the children with me. But he wanted the children to stay with him, and he said that I would come home and find them all murdered.
By the time the police got there, it had all been resolved and there was no arrest.
Rob's lawyer says that no arrest was made for good reason. Rob Dixon never threatened to kill the children. Rob and his lawyer believe she made the call for ulterior reasons.
The first time Paige called 911, she made an accusation that Rob Dixon was going to kill the children. That had no basis in truth. The police came to the scene. There was nothing inappropriate going on. Nobody was charged. Rob was befuddled. He had no understanding as to what motivated Paige to make a false accusation about him. But fortunately for Mr. Dixon, it was soon very clear he had done nothing wrong and had no bad intentions. And it may have been the start of her campaign to get Rob Dixon out of the house.
1 year later, in 2005, Paige makes another 911 call.
Paige called 911 and said that Rob Dixon had slapped her and shoved her while she was holding their youngest child. And at that time, he was arrested for domestic violence. According to the court files, Paige said that he had accused her of being a whore because she had clothing in her car that indicated to him that she was going out to do topless massage. Rob said that she had told him that she was having to do that again because they were running out of money.
Rob's lawyer insists that Rob always dutifully supported his wife and family. Rob is arrested on third-degree assault, misdemeanor child abuse, and domestic violence charges.
Rob pleaded guilty to harassment. It was a plea bargain, and he had to go to anger management classes.
In exchange for this plea, the charges are eventually dropped.
Paige Dixon claimed that Rob had struck her and the child. The problem was there were no signs of any injury. What actually happened is that Rob found that she was doing topless massages. That's not really what you want the mother of your children and your wife to be doing. According to Rob, he never laid a hand on her. And he and I believe that that second call was manipulation by Paige. She was done with him.
Rob's lawyer says this is an elaborate ruse by Paige to cast herself as the better parent, so she can win custody of the children if they divorce. 2 days after Paige's 911 call, Rob Dixon declares bankruptcy. His Colorado EMT Foundation is unable to pay for equipment it has donated, and taxpayers are forced to pick up the tab.
Rob said that eventually he lost over $10 million. I would think it was more than that.
Not surprisingly, public opinion turns against him.
I would have to say that Rob Dixon came to town as a hero. He was a godsend, and he was Santa Claus. And by the time he left, he was an awful scoundrel. because a lot of the places that he had donated equipment to, it had been repossessed. He had just leased it and then didn't make the payments. And then after he got involved in a fire district here, he invested $3.2 million of their money in a shifty internet company in New York, and that money was lost.
According to her loved ones, Paige and her children are feeling the effects of Rob's reversal of fortune.
The relationship certainly started having cracks and coming apart. As the years went by, we see Rob as a sort of a Jekyll and Hyde personality. When they were first married, we knew virtually 100% good Rob. At the end of it all, it was virtually 100% bad Rob. I actually set up a bank account for Paige that was joint, and the purpose was that if she felt for any reason she needed to get away, she'd have enough money to do it.
Paige's friends never doubt for a minute that her fear of ex-husband Rob Dixon is very real.
One day we were at her house and there was no door on part of the cabinet, and so I asked Paige what that was all about. The oldest son was in trouble and Rob was angry with him, and so he was hiding in that cabinet from his dad. And Rob broke the door on that side of the cabinet when he was pulling the child out of there.
Rob's lawyer explains that Rob did break this cabinet door, but by accident. The door simply came off its hinges, and no child was involved.
It just gives me chills.
Rob starts looking for work out of state, and friends raise the possibility of divorce with Paige.
Rob was brokenhearted, but he's also a bright guy, and it seemed pretty obvious that his marriage with Paige was over. If she was going to be involved in adult services, he was not going to be around.
Paige finally accepts the idea that they should divorce.
That's where I saw her sad a lot more, because her dream was falling apart. She didn't have, the traditional family and the white picket fence. It was all crumbling, and that was very hard for her.
Rob Dixon leaves Colorado, eventually settling on the East Coast. But even after the divorce is final, Paige is documenting her fears about Rob on a website dedicated to pampered chef consultants.
I've looked at the website, and it seems to also be a support group for these kinds of women. They get on and they tell about themselves. And I know that Paige did that. She talked a little bit about her divorce and her problems with her former husband. Paige said that she was afraid of him. One post even said that the kids were afraid that he would come and kill her.
Were Paige's fears real? And was Rob Dixon somehow involved in her disappearance? Paige's friends say that she has told them of her fear of Rob. So when Paige goes missing, this is one of the first things friends mention to police.
I definitely told the police I was concerned about Rob and that he might be a threat.
In any investigation, one of the first things you're going to look at is existing relationships. In this case, Paige Broomfield had 2 ex-husbands. In the case of Rob Dixon, they had a colorful relationship, and it was one that was not without strife. And there were 911 calls, and there was even a prior domestic violence arrest. And it piqued our interest with regards to trying to understand, did they have enough of a rocky relationship that created the motivation to try to harm Paige?
Could Rob's temper have driven him to the ultimate revenge?
It did not change the facts with regards to where we believe Rob Dixon was during the time of her disappearance and what he was doing at the time.
According to Rob, he was at home in Pennsylvania when Paige's family called, completely unaware that Paige had disappeared.
Rob Dixon was worried that something had happened to her, so he packed all his gear and headed for Colorado.
Meanwhile, the sheriff's office is beginning their search for Paige. They start close to home.
In any case like this, you want to do a cursory search of, the house. One of the things that helped us to gain focus was the lack of things that we saw. We didn't see somebody who came home and packed.
About 9:30 that night, a volunteer arrived with her bloodhounds. They went around the house, inside, outside, and then I was told they took them beyond to the desert.
But nothing concrete is found.
Sunday, they were going to go up in an airplane looking for her car.
While searching for her car, investigators are also trying to track down Paige's last moves.
Cell phone records and voicemail were a big clue in this investigation that gives us an idea of who she may have intended to meet with and who, perhaps wanted to meet with her. We were able to identify individuals and contact them and try to learn their whereabouts and learn their relationship to her.
3 days after her disappearance, there is a huge development. Paige's car is found in flames.
Her vehicle then was reported to us on Sunday, found burning in an industrial area of Grand Junction, and it didn't take much to determine that it was probably set deliberately. It's a huge red flag. Now there's criminal behavior involved with it, and it causes you to think about foul play, and that there's somebody that appears to be attempting to cover up a connection.
If I didn't know before I knew that point, we have a serious problem here. She is in a real bad spot.
It was probably the thing that made me really start freaking out and thinking that something truly awful had happened.
Finding Paige's car tells police that she made it back to Grand Junction from Eagle on June 28th.
I found out Paige was missing the Monday morning after she disappeared. My husband called and said she's missing. And I said, well, where's Rob? That was my first concern after everything she had been saying to me.
Mom's Club has a meeting scheduled for Monday afternoon, and it quickly becomes all about what's happened to Paige. The more they think about whether or not Paige would choose to leave her children, the more worried they get.
We assume she's dead in one respect, but in another respect, if there's any way for someone to be alive, Paige would find it.
Because of another missing persons case in the Grand Junction area, a local search group had sprung up called the Abby and Jennifer Recovery Foundation. On July 14th, at 6 a.m., Paige's loved ones joined this group in a massive effort to find any sign of Paige.
This is a huge county. It's over 3,300 square miles. 74% of it's public land. It's from High Mountain Meadows all the way to Red Rock Canyon country that the Colorado River runs through. There's literally a million places to hide somebody and a million places to go where you have privacy to do things that bad people sometimes do. It's wide open.
I think the first day we had in the neighborhood of 150 people. You just can't believe how hot it was. When you're looking at 115 degrees, it is very uncomfortable. I just can't believe how much people will give of themselves when they see someone in a tight spot. There's a park downtown in which homeless people gather. And I took some of the flyers. I took a box of waters. There wasn't a lot of thank yous. And then I said, I need your help. Those guys pulled around me like a magnet. And they couldn't have been more helpful. They took all my flyers.
The very next day, there is another huge find.
There were some items found in an area approximately 15 miles away from where the vehicle was found on a state highway.
It was exciting and hopeful at the same time that it was terrifying and sad.
They found items from Paige's purse, from her billfold. They found a Blockbuster rental card, her checkbook, cards, normal things people have in their wallet. The items were found on the opposite side of town from where her house is, the opposite side of town from where she would have come into town from Eagle. I think the police looked at the items that they found as possibly kind of a breadcrumb thing, that possibly she might have thrown them out of a car. That had them looking then south of Grand Junction along the river. And they had divers, they had boats. The other theory was that possibly they'd been thrown out by someone as a way to divert them.
However these items got there, the volunteers have to keep searching.
You have to be prepared that you're trying to find a dead person is really what we were searching for ultimately. If she was alive, we weren't going to find her on our searches.
If anything is found, it cannot be publicized, for fear it could taint a future trial.
You had to flag anything you thought might be related to her, and that could mean a lot of flags.
Volunteers search throughout the summer.
You don't develop an extreme amount of confidence that you've eliminated all the areas. What you do is develop confidence that you're doing everything you can and moving on to other areas.
But Paige is not found. Despite her friends' concerns, after interviewing Paige's ex-husband Rob Dixon and checking his alibis, police determined that he was not involved. And he is officially cleared.
At this point, I've never uncovered anything that would suggest that Rob Dixon has anything to do with Paige Bergfeld's disappearance.
The Mesa County Sheriff's Department focused on the men in Paige's life, as they should have. But they soon came to the conclusion that neither man could have been involved in Paige's disappearance.
This only makes cops work harder to find a suspect.
We even brought in canines with specific experience in cold trails or cold tracks to try to determine if we could link anything to the car.
These cold case canines sniff out the area where Paige's car was found and lead investigators directly to the door of a local business. A man is about to be named a person of interest. Nearly a month after Paige Bergfeld goes missing, investigators name a person of interest. While much of the evidence must be kept secret in case of a trial, the public learns that canines led straight to this man's place of business.
The canines were useful in tying the car to the business. As a result of that, we're left with Lester Ralph Jones as a person of interest in this investigation to us.
There is talk in the town that Lester Jones and Paige know each other, and that he may be a client whom she refused to meet.
I knew that she knew him. She had talked about her mechanic, Lester. I got the impression that he was very fixated on her.
As best as I can tell, Paige and Jones knew one another, and Paige found Jones repulsive and tried to avoid him.
My husband ended up talking to someone who had a friend who had hired Paige. He said she gives great massages. And he had actually approached her about a full-service massage, and she refused. She said, no, I give massages and that's that. He was like, I'll pay you really well. And she absolutely wouldn't go.
Barbara wonders if perhaps, unlike this friend of a friend, Lester Jones couldn't take no for an answer.
He is big, 6'6", 280. He served time in prison for an act of violence with respect to his ex-wife.
According to Delta County Sheriff's records, in 1999, Jones chased his estranged wife up a mountain road in his car, fast enough to set off her airbags. Her friend jumped out of the car and started running away, and Jones fired a gun at him. The bullets went through his hat.
Mr. Jones was an RV mechanic here in Grand Junction after he had served 3 years of a 5-year prison sentence for domestic violence-related crimes.
Although Jones was imprisoned for assault with a deadly weapon, attempted second-degree kidnapping, and the use of a deadly weapon, Paige's loved ones are not convinced that he is the one.
I see him having a low motive, and I see others that have a high degree of motive.
I know investigators searched Mr. Jones' house at least twice. They were particularly interested in a truck liner. They said they took several bags of things out of the house. They did a lot of searching, but the investigators would never say what they found there or didn't find. And they would also never confirm that they searched his place of business. But I would assume that they did because the dog led over there.
It really doesn't make any sense that someone would go to all the trouble of trying to hide a murder and then put the victim's car in the parking lot next to where they work.
Well, I've never been able to let go of the idea that Rob Dixon was somehow involved in this. He was the only person she mentioned being afraid of.
In the face of intense allegations from Paige's close friends, Rob's lawyer maintains these claims are ludicrous.
Rob Dixon talked with the investigators without a lawyer being present. He said he had nothing to hide. He passed a polygraph with flying colors, so it's pretty clear he could not have been involved in her disappearance at all.
Biggest thing is we need to find Paige. We want to find Paige.
Apparently, Jones and Rob had a connection through their jobs. The two of them had worked for the same fire district, so potentially they stayed in touch. Rob would know that Ralph has a violent background. What better person to set up to knock off your ex-wife?
Neither Rob or I had ever heard of Lester Jones. Jones and Dixon have never met. Jones and Dixon have never spoken. The claim that Lester Jones was being manipulated by Rob Dixon is hogwash, and why anyone would believe that story is beyond us.
In spite of Paige's friends' suspicions and an alleged connection to Lester Jones, the sheriff's office still says Rob Dixon is not a suspect in this case. Neither Lester Jones nor his lawyer have ever made a public statement, and Jones has never been arrested or charged in connection with this case. The open-ended nature of this case leaves friends and family desperate for answers.
Our investigation has not uncovered anything that Paige is still alive. Paige has met with foul play, and we believe that it was likely surrounding her adult entertainment business, and we remain open to other possibilities as well, and won't rule anything out, but that is the focus that we have based on the facts as we know them. It's still a very complex and difficult case, but we're hopeful that something comes up that causes this case to get its day in court.
Certainly as bad as it is, and how you fall into the depths of depression and despair, there's also an element of anger. Who is it out there that thinks for whatever purpose they have for themselves that they can take away from my grandchildren and their mother? To take away this person's goals, their aspirations, to take away this great smile. Who is this person? What kind of a human being is this? One of the investigators told me, these kind of cases take 6, sometimes even 20 years to solve. I responded to this guy, you may punch out at night to go eat dinner, but this never leaves me. And it never will.
Thank you for watching Investigation Discovery on Demand. You're watching Investigation Discovery on Demand.
In a Dallas suburb, a late night of partying takes an ominous turn.
Everything looked normal, like she never got in the car.
And a beautiful young woman is here 1 minute and gone the next.
I'm not giving up. I'm so heartbroken right now.
A massive search effort races against the clock for any signs of her.
I don't know where to begin to look.
Somebody knows what happened.
The truth will come out.
But no one is talking.
We don't have any answers. And he was the last one with her.
I'm frustrated. Everyone's frustrated.
And a family desperately tries to maintain hope.
Please want her home.
Plano, Texas, 20 miles from downtown Dallas, and recently ranked the safest city in America. But in the summer of 2014, that reputation became meaningless for one family. After a night out with friends, 23-year-old Christina Morris disappeared from a parking garage.
This was her worst nightmare. This is her one that's scared her to death that somebody take her one day. For this to be happening is unreal. It can't be. Because she's not that girl that takes chances like that.
parents and step-parents each had a hand in raising her. Now, they're racing against time to find the daughter they all cherish. On the Friday of Labor Day weekend, Christina was gearing up to meet some old friends for drinks.
Christina really missed her friends, so, she told her boyfriend, she kind of wanted to have a night out.
Christina and her boyfriend, Hunter Foster, have been living together for almost a year in Fort Worth, an hour from her hometown. They started dating after Christina had a bad breakup with her longtime high school sweetheart, Logan.
Hunter was there to help her through it. They were friends for a couple of months before they decided, hey, we kind of like each other, a little more than that. When they moved in, they moved in together and fell in love.
Moving day. You've been working hard, Christina.
Christina works an office job to pay the bills, but creative pursuits are what make her happy.
She got the free-spirited, fun-loving part from me, and then she got the very strict and disciplined knowledge and stuff from Anna.
She's really creative. She just recently got very interested in photography.
Living away from home wasn't always easy for Christina. So she jumped at the chance to see some familiar faces over the Labor Day weekend.
All her friends said, well, let's get together. And so she decided to go.
After work, Christina drove to Plano. She met her friends at the Shops at Legacy, a mall packed with restaurants and bars. The friends bar hopped until last call at 2 a.m. Then they walked a few blocks to a friend's apartment to continue the party. An hour later, Christina decided to head home.
She had to go to work the next day, or that day, because it was wee hours of the morning.
It was a 20-minute walk to the garage where her car was parked, and Christina didn't want to go there alone.
It's nighttime. My daughter wants somebody to walk her, It's just how she is. But we're at the house, and it's nighttime. It's either me or her brother that walks her out to the car.
That night, a casual friend named Enrique Orochi walked with Christina to the garage. They left the apartment a little before 4 a.m. Later that morning, Christina's close friend, Stephen Nickerson, tried to check in with her several times.
Called her, didn't answer. Waited a few more minutes, called her, she didn't answer. And I was like, maybe her phone's dead. She's on her way home. I assumed she had made it back to her car.
Christina's friends thought she was headed home, but she never made it. The following Tuesday morning, she didn't show up for work.
She hadn't come to work in a couple of days. And that's when they got really concerned.
It's not like Christina not to show up for work.
Her boss sent me this random Facebook message, and she was like, where's Christina? She hasn't been to work in 4 days. It's really concerning. So I messaged her back, and I go, that's really weird, because I've been trying to get a hold of her, and I haven't been able to.
Megan, Christina's best friend, called Christina's mother, Johnny, in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
I was at work, and I remember it was around 8:15, and I noticed a message on my phone from Megan.
Pretty soon, Christina's family and close friends realized they hadn't heard from her in 4 days.
So we just started calling people and saying, have you heard from her? Have you talked to her since y'all left? What y'all do? And
this is not like Christina. I felt it. I knew something was bad happened.
Everyone told Christina's parents the same story.
They all told us that, they saw her leave the apartment, and that she left with her friend to walk to the garage.
On Tuesday night, Christina's dad, Mark, called the police to report her missing.
She went missing early morning hours on Saturday the 30th. We didn't get the report until 4 days later, so we were already behind the 8 ball.
Plano police immediately dispatched an officer to the parking garage.
Her car was still in the parking garage at the last known location where she had parked her car. So it's kind of one of those things that immediately started setting off a lot of concerns.
To police, it looked like Christina may have never gotten in her car. Then how did she get out of the garage? Her stepmother Anna tracked down Enrique, the guy who left the party with her, to see what he might know.
When I called him, he said, yes, they walked to the garage. And so I asked him, I said, did you see her get in her car? And he was like, no, she went one way and I went the other. I never actually saw her get in the car.
If you're going to walk somebody to their car, don't you walk them all the way to their car? Like, why would you split up right before you're there? I don't get it.
The garage seems to offer up nothing but mysteries. So Christina's parents contact her boyfriend Hunter to see if he has any idea where she could be. What he tells them is a surprise, that Christina had gotten angry with him that night, and Hunter figured she left town to cool down.
He said, that he really thought that she had gone to Tulsa to see her mom, and he just didn't think it through enough to call and make sure she was there.
But Christina's friends add troubling details to the story. Stephen Nickerson was part of the group partying in Plano on Friday. He says that Christina was texting with Hunter that night, and as they sent messages back and forth, she grew more and more distressed.
She was upset with him. She got upset with him about something. I'm not quite sure what it was, but she started crying a little bit. Her boyfriend had seen her ex-boyfriend out at a bar, and he had texted her that he was pissed off because he saw him and he was going to come and kick his ass.
Some of Christina's friends wonder, could her disappearance be connected to a lover's quarrel that got violent? It's been 4 days since 23-year-old Christina Morris vanished without a trace from a parking garage in Plano, Texas.
There was a high level of urgency, high level of concern on the family's part, and then once we started looking into it and kind of hearing more about what was going on, our level of concern rose quite a bit as well.
According to friends, Christina was arguing with her boyfriend Hunter Foster on the night she disappeared. They say Hunter told Christina that he saw her ex-boyfriend Logan at a bar, and that Hunter said he wanted to kick Logan's ass.
They were best friends since 5th grade, 6th grade, yeah.
And what's their relationship now?
They can't stand each other.
Friends say Christina and Logan broke up over a year ago, so she couldn't understand why Hunter was getting angry.
She was upset because they hadn't been together for a year. She was like, why are you acting like that? There's nothing to get upset about.
Christina's friends say they encouraged her to crash with them that night, but she turned the offer down.
She said no, she really had to go home. She wanted her puppy dog, she wanted Madden.
Christina also seemed desperate to make contact with her boyfriend. Her phone records show that, after they argued, she reached out to Hunter more than a dozen times that night, but he never responded.
I see that my girlfriend that I live with, I'm supposed to love, and has called me, 14, 15 times. Wouldn't you be a little worried?
Hunter says he lost his phone after the heated exchange with Christina, so he never knew she was trying to contact him. Her family doesn't know what to think, but to them, he does seem genuinely anguished by Christina's disappearance.
I love her, and I hope she comes home. And she's found, and everybody's looking for her. And I hope she comes home.
Then, 5 days after Christina's disappearance, police obtained security camera video from the parking garage that night. It's just 6 seconds long, but the grainy video shows Christina enter the parking garage with Enrique at 3:57 a.m.
It did confirm that she and one of her friends did actually walk into the parking garage.
For Christina's family, viewing the video is both comforting and agonizing.
She looked perfectly normal and at ease, I could tell, she's moving in a relaxed, normal way, and I can just imagine her. She's just talking and walking and talking and walking, and nothing seemed out of ordinary. And I just wanted to see that little bit more, I just kept watching it, knowing full well it wasn't going to go any further, but really wanting to see that other little piece.
So what happened after Christina and Enrique walked out of the frame? The first floor of the garage contains 5 other motion-censored surveillance cameras. But police tell Christina's family that none of them captured the movements of either Christina or Enrique. And Enrique tells cops the same thing he told Christina's stepmom. He never actually saw her get in her car.
He's been cooperative with us talking. He's identified and said that is him that was walking out there. You can almost kind of see where it'd be possible that somebody would be able to see somebody on the other end of the garage if that was the case.
September 13th, 2014. If local police have any leads in their investigation, they're not sharing them with Christina's family.
I know the police are doing their job, but they're not letting me know anything. I mean, I'm sure they're just still doing an investigation, but I'm her dad. I mean, I want to know.
Private investigator Gary Miko, a retired New Jersey detective who specializes in missing persons cases, heard about Christina's disappearance and has come to Plano to see if he can help. Along with Christina's parents and step-parents, Gary wants to see exactly where the security cameras are located.
And that's the very first thing I did when I came here was look for every single camera. When I got to here, I noticed another camera right over here inside. It'd be a total of 5 cameras. Just right here on this first floor.
Would that be the camera?
That would be the camera in the car.
That 6-second snippet of her walking.
Right.
Christina's family keeps returning to the same question. What happened right after these 6 seconds of video?
Where did she park?
She parked this spot right here.
Here? Yes. Right next to where you just parked. Right.
Car was locked. The seat was up. I mean, everything looked normal, like she never got in the car. So I looked around the garage and I looked at those 2 dumpsters to see if somebody would have thrown her phone away or, her purse, anything. There was nothing. Of course, this is 4 days later. I mean, I'm sure, cars are in and out of this all day long, which worries me too.
According to police, they may have video that shows Enrique's car leaving the garage, but the poor quality of the recording makes it hard to know for certain. With each passing day, Christina's mother, Johnny, finds it harder to stay positive. 16 days after her daughter's disappearance, she's finally able to bring herself to visit Christina's house.
It might be a good thing and it might be a bad thing. I'll see it when I get there, but I think it's a good thing. Keep my Spitfireness and my strength going.
Christina and Hunter's house is in Fort Worth, about an hour from her hometown.
They've lived here about a year now. She's done all the painting and on the floor, and Hunter too.
Hunter and Christina are in the first stages of designing a streetwear clothing line together.
The clothing line was about being free-spirited, open-minded, and don't be scared to show your talent to the world. It's called Trust None. Obviously, you can tell she likes her fashion and jewelry. She's like Mother. She loves glasses, funny glasses from all over. These are one of my favorites she'd wear. This is her favorite hat. I bought her her favorite skateboard hat. These are all her skateboard shoes. So it's funny to see, her little sassy side and then her little tomboy side.
Being surrounded by all of Christina's possessions is overwhelming for Johnny.
Look how tiny she was. Or still is. Tiny. I mean, it's just, she's so fragile. I just don't understand her. I just don't understand it. I'm just so heartbroken.
Hunter is also at a loss.
We spent every second together. I can't think about anything but finding her. That's pretty much it.
With so many unanswered questions, private investigator Gary Miko wants to check out Christina's last known movements and the places she visited. If she was abducted by a stranger, he may have targeted her earlier that night.
It's so important to retrace steps and to understand, where she was, what she was doing, maybe who she was with. Here it is, Ruffy Duffies.
The popular bar was the last place Christina was seen in public.
Our manager pretty much told us she came in, swiped her card at 12:30, tapped out, had 2 drinks.
What was it like here on Friday that night? Or was it like most Friday nights?
It's
That was
crazy.
Labor Day weekend.
We have bouncers that escort us places. Like they walk us through the crowd.
It's that crowded.
Yes.
Okay.
If someone were stalking Christina that night, it would be easy to go unnoticed in a crowded bar. But Gary's gut tells him Christina's disappearance probably wasn't a random abduction.
The idea of a boogeyman showing up and snatching her and then taking her away is just so unlikely, so unbelievable. People that work here just have a hard time believing this happened.
Christina's family feels the same way. In fact, 10 days after she disappeared, a tip surfaced that reinforced their sense that what happened to Christina wasn't random.
A credible witness said they saw Christina and her boyfriend Hunter at Pier 121, Louisville, partying, hanging out. They got a big old huge fight.
According to the witness at the Lake Louisville Marina, Christina said she was afraid of what her boyfriend might do to her. That was 2 days before she went missing.
He was very angry and she was really scared this time that he was going to hurt her.
More than 2 weeks after Christina Morris's disappearance, both her family and police are convinced that something criminal happened to her.
No, she just didn't say, hey, I'm taking a vacation from life. That's just not in her nature.
The fact that she has not been heard from or seen in such a long period of time, it's unusual, it's out of character for her, and it's clearly something that we believe there is more to this than she left on her own. But being able to prove it is where our issue is.
Her mom's been told a witness saw Christina having a loud argument with her boyfriend at Pier 121 near the Lake Louisville Marina. Johnny follows it up, but as she questions people who were there, the lead starts to fall apart.
The bartender tells me, well, I didn't see her, physically see her. This is the story I got from the security guard here. I looked around, I thought for a minute. It's not a place that Christina would hang out. It's not a place Hunter would hang out.
Hunter later confirmed that the story was false. He and Christina were never at the marina. A wild goose chase is the last thing Johnny wants to deal with, but she knows she needs to maintain a positive attitude.
I mean, I'm not giving up. I'm so heartbroken right now because I need her. I need her. It's just not fair.
Then, there's finally something for Christina's family to feel hopeful about. Texas EquiSearch, a well-known search and rescue group comes to Plano to lend a hand.
And they do this really out of the goodness of their hearts. And they work hard. And they're personally invested in this search. They know what they're doing. They know how to search. They know what to look for.
Morris, Christina Morris, 23 years old, last seen here in Plano, Texas.
Founder Tim Miller and his crew transformed Legacy Church into the command center for their search operation.
How many ground searches we have today?
Based on a tip called into police, Tim and his team have mapped out a broad zone to search.
We're going to be going out in the Lucas area. It's a big area, so let's do what we can. Let's be safe out there.
This is the hardest thing that obviously we've ever gone through in our life.
So if y'all need anything, food, water,
Just,
it's all we can do.
we thank you from the bottom of my heart. Trust us.
As the searchers head out into the field, Christina's family is asked to stay behind. Authorities think if they were present when her belongings or her body were found, the police investigation could be compromised, and what searchers find might be too much for the family to bear. The EquiSearch team battles cold, driving rain to reach the designated search zone, a rural area on the outskirts of Allen, Texas.
As a group, we're going to take both sides of the road, and we're going to walk all the way back up under this bridge. Nobody is to leave the group. We need to stay together. If you need to do anything, just halt and yell at me and tell me what you need to do. Everybody have water? Everybody have a working cell phone? Yes. Everybody have gloves? Yes. Rain gear? Okay. That side and
Waiting is tough, but both Christina's family and close friends find strength in working together.
I mean, I wish I could take it away from them. I wish I could just fix it all and make it better and do anything, because these people are my family, pretty much. They have been for years, and I just wish I could take that away from them.
Christina's siblings man the volunteer check-in desk at the command center.
Yeah, the search really hasn't died down as the days have gone on. It's actually, I think, word has spread even more, and this case has really caught people's attention. They want to help.
She's always been that person that can bring people together, and even now when she's missing, it's still that way. She's just that kind of person.
Suddenly, a call comes in from the command center, and it's not good news.
because of the rain, evidence will be less effective in the rain, and I agree with that.
Due to the threat of lightning in the area, the search is called off.
You know, it's a tough decision, but we gotta make sure we're as effective as we can be. There could be that special cell phone, that special backpack that we're gonna miss. And,
after 4 days of full-scale searching, EquiSearch has come up empty-handed.
We have nothing new. I feel like I failed my daughter every night when I go home. Because we have not one answer closer to getting her. I don't understand it. I'm getting mad.
Private investigator Gary Miko is still determined to get some answers for Christina's family. He wants to know more about Enrique Orochi, the acquaintance who allegedly last saw her at the parking garage.
We need to know what those security cameras picked up in that garage besides her walking with this guy. And we'd like to know what this guy saw. Did he see anything at all? We need some answers.
Because Enrique won't meet with him, Christina's family thinks he knows more than he's saying.
That person hasn't volunteered for anything, helped with anything, said anything.
I really would feel more comfortable if the gentleman that walked her to the car had a lie detector test.
To learn more about Christina Morris's case, go to investigationdiscovery.com/disappeared. It's been 17 days since Christina Morris vanished into thin air. For her family, it feels like an eternity.
She is truly our life, our everything, and completes our family. We're torn. We're torn.
To help Christina's loved ones make sense of the case, private investigator Gary Miko is heading to the Plano Police Department with some questions about the investigation. Gary wants to know what police can share with him about Enrique Orochi, the last person to see Christina before she went missing.
Has he been in for questioning more than one time? Or?
The main people that were last with her have been looked at multiple times, and they've actually been questioned multiple times.
Police won't confirm whether or not they've searched Enrique's car.
Was he able to maybe even come in and identify his own vehicle in the video footage?
I don't know that he's actually looked at his own vehicle, but we do see a vehicle leaving very, very shortly after they get into the parking garage that we believe is his vehicle.
According to police, the poor quality of the video makes it impossible to see who's inside the car.
It's kind of hard to tell exactly what kind of vehicle they were. That's the problem.
It's that bad.
It's that bad.
What other cameras were in there that showed you possibly anything else? Were there other cameras with
Yes.
malfunctioning? Were they?
There were a lot of other cameras in there. Some of the cameras that we were able to get are motion activated cameras. They said that it was very grainy video in some of the shots.
Police are digitally enhancing the video of the cars exiting the garage in case there's anything else on tape that could help their investigation.
So you have some hope on that footage.
Yeah, we haven't given up on the footage. As grainy as it is, as unhelpful as it has been so far, we're hoping.
Did they find any of her belongings, or has anything of her, any trace of her, been recovered anywhere?
Not a thing.
Not a thing.
We know that she had a backpack. We know that she had a cell phone. And we know that she had the clothes on her back. And nothing has been found.
Gary also asks Officer Tilley about Christina's boyfriend, Hunter Foster.
We have spoken with the boyfriend numerous times. He has been 100% cooperative. Everything that he has told us has checked out perfect. It doesn't appear as if he's being deceptive at all.
The big question is, has it been cleared?
Nobody's been cleared because we don't really have a criminal offense at this point. We don't have a known crime that took place.
So the case now is classified as a missing person case.
A missing person case.
Hunter is not considered a suspect or a person of interest in Christina's disappearance. Several miles away, Texas EquiSearch is taking its operation to the air. The search and rescue organization is prepping to launch a surveillance drone over the city of Allen. Volunteer searchers and police believe a large open field outside of town could be a possible dumping ground for evidence.
Educate me about drones, because I don't know.
Okay.
Photographs, video?
In this particular case, we'll use high-resolution digital stills. We'll use this aircraft to go through, and we'll fly this open area here and knock it out in, a matter of hours.
Since 2005, EquiSearch drones have helped find remains in about a dozen cases. Volunteers have named this drone the Christina. While the drone is in the air, Christina's father, Mark, arrives at the scene. He's become increasingly distraught over his daughter's disappearance.
I don't know where to begin to look.
As long as there's no evidence that's pointing in one direction, it's wide open.
If she can call her. Oh. So somebody has her. If she just didn't take off somewhere. I hope to God she did, But it's just not her. So all this right here is great, but this isn't where I want to find my daughter.
So 4 14 minutes, you covered how big of an area?
3 square miles.
3 square miles in 14 minutes.
In an urban area like this, you see a lot of different objects on the ground. We can pick these objects out, hand the GPS coordinates to one person and say, go see what this is. Not 100 people, but one person.
After 12 drone flights, no evidence related to Christina's disappearance was found. Driving back to Plano, Gary is struck by his conversation with Christina's dad.
She hasn't called me. What it says to him is she's in trouble. That she's unable to call. I can't imagine what that feels like, especially for a 2-week period. They've been searching and asking questions and interviewing their own investigation, sort of separate, which I would do the same thing.
Later that day, Christina's father seems even more exasperated.
I know my daughter, she wouldn't walk to the car by herself.
Okay.
And she would want him to walk her to the car. So that's what doesn't make sense. What happened, I don't know, because there's no video of it, or at least they're not telling me. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't make sense to me. Doesn't make sense at all.
Christina's family is running out of patience. They want the truth. And when they go public with their frustrations, the young man believed to be the last to see Christina finally speaks out. Despite 5 days of massive land and air searches, the EquiSearch team has come up empty in their search for Christina Morris. With resources dwindling and no new leads from law enforcement, the team leader Tim Millard makes a tough call.
We met with a family, with law enforcement, and made a decision that the hardest thing for us to do is what we're doing today, is walking away and suspending the search. We're not done, just suspending the search until more information comes in. That's going to lead us back. And again, it's very, very difficult to leave right now. We don't feel successful in what we've done. We've not brought Christina back. And I feel like we've got a job that's unfinished.
Christina's mom, Johnny, finds a silver lining in the group's departure.
It reassures my belief that she's inside somewhere, still alive anyway. So, I didn't have a problem with them not finding anything. It bothered me, to be honest, but I couldn't thank them enough.
Johnny's made a decision. She won't be going home to Tulsa until she finds her daughter.
I don't know my life before this right now. I don't remember my life before this.
It's like the movie Groundhog Day, honestly. You just wake up every day, it's the same thing. I want something different.
Since she arrived in Plano, Johnny has been posting messages to Christina every day on Facebook.
I started realizing I needed to have a connection and feel like that I'm still talking to her. Oh, sweetheart, I truly feel like we are getting closer to finding you. I know it feels like forever, but I prayed really hard last night that once again today will be the day. Please keep staying strong and feeling my touch and love. Mommy is still fighting to find you with everything I have. P.S. Mommy loves you the most. XOXOX. So that's what gets me through in the mornings when I wake up. And I feel like a failure because we didn't find her that night. I just want her home.
To share their grief and bolster hope, Christina's loved ones organize a candlelight vigil at her former high school.
I just want her back, and the more time that goes on, the more I lose hope, and I just want that hope back. I want to lead. I want something. I want answers more than anything in this world.
I know I personally could not be getting through this without y'all's support. She's truly a blessing to our lives, and I am totally empty without her. And I need y'all to continue to fight with us, and let's bring her home.
Once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
Private investigator Gary Miko plans to continue working the case from his office in New Jersey.
And you're gonna come down here when we find Christina and celebrate?
Got it. That's the deal. It's been a jam-packed several days that I've been here. Lots going on. There's still a lot to do. I'm confident at this point that there's enough information to work with. What the family's going to be doing. Their heart and soul is in this for some sort of resolve. I believe they will find Christina.
Christina's loved ones are determined to keep the search effort and her memory alive. Despite their best efforts, though, billboards are coming down and media attention is waning. But a month later, that all changes.
There is still no sign of a missing Fort Worth woman who vanished from a Plano parking garage.
In mid-October 2014, Christina's family goes public with their frustrations concerning Enrique Arochi, the young man who is the last known person to see their daughter.
We have stressed that we're not accusing him of anything. We just feel like he knows something.
A month earlier, police said Enrique was cooperating with their investigation. They aren't commenting on whether that's still the case. Since Christina vanished, her dad, Mark, has wanted to talk face-to-face with Enrique.
I went to his house to talk to him, and he told me his lawyer wouldn't let him say anything. Compassion? No, not one bit. It was all about him.
Not one time did he say that he was sorry, what happened, or anything.
I wish I would have done this. Nothing. We just want to know what he knows. We're not accusing him of anything, but he had to see something.
On October 20th, Christina's family and close friends organize a protest in front of Enrique's house in Allen, asking him to share any information that could help them bring Christina home.
We need our girl back.
10 days later, Enrique breaks his silence, granting an interview to a local television reporter.
That night, did you offer to, or she asked you to accompany her?
She asked me, she didn't ask me. I said, I'm going home. And she was like, okay, well, can I go with you? I'm guessing so she wouldn't walk alone. And that's what I said, okay, that's fine.
Enrique goes on to say that he feels Christina's family has unfairly linked him to her disappearance.
I feel like they're very wrong. They're accusing me of something. I'm being threatened now. They've put my name out there so much that people are starting to see me as a monster when I'm really one of the nicest people you can ever meet.
5 days later, new information surfaces. An affidavit in support of a search warrant is made public that alleges Enrique may have impeded the police investigation into Christina's disappearance. According to the affidavit, he made numerous false statements to police. Enrique said he never entered the parking garage with Christina until detectives showed him an image from the surveillance video.
He said he never parked in the parking garage. He never walked Christina to the car until that was proven on the tape that he walked Christina to the parking garage.
Enrique tells a local radio reporter he must have gotten confused about where he actually parked his car that night. Police also say a co-worker of Enrique's told them the morning after Christina disappeared, Enrique came to work with bruises and a bite mark on his right arm. But Enrique says he hurt his arm earlier that day changing a tire, and there was never a bite mark on it.
Morris's family says that you're not cooperating. Are you cooperating?
I cooperated with the police as much as I could. I went on an interview with them 4 different times. and they even searched my car three of those times. And the third time they had my car for 11 days, and they gave it back to me about 3 weeks ago, and ever since then I haven't heard from them.
The affidavit goes on to say that police think the most likely way Christina left the garage undetected was in Enrique's car.
Enrique, do you have anything to do with Christina's disappearance?
No, I do not. I have nothing to do with her disappearance.
Did you harm her in any way?
No, I didn't. I wouldn't harm her. Anything. Not even an animal, a fly, nothing.
What happened?
I have no idea. I wish I knew.
6 weeks later, the Plano police learn of crucial evidence from the forensic search done on Enrique's vehicle. Christina's DNA, likely blood or saliva, was found in his trunk. On December 13th, Enrique Arochi is arrested and charged with aggravated kidnapping, yet the whereabouts of Christina Morris remain a mystery.
She taught me how to love and how to feel loved. And I can't let them win. They took her, but I can't let them win. I can't, and I won't. I don't want the outcome to be bad. I don't. But if it is, my child would still want me to stay strong. And remember, not this time we're going through, but the times we had.
Thank you for watching Investigation Discovery on Demand.